Hello, friends. Hope you all had a good weekend. I had a mighty weekend, personally. Got to play a show on Saturday and with a couple of other great artists, Lucas Wayne and the Cotton Mouse and Old Moose. Amazing songwriters and great friends, great people. And collectively, we sold out a theater. And that was a really wonderful, pleasant surprise on Saturday. And I felt bad for the people that got turned away. There was these couple dozen people that couldn't get tickets in time and come, and I feel super bad about that. And but really appreciate everybody who came out, and it was a really nice time. And didn't do any videos here for the last couple of days. You know, I was thinking about it. Why am I? Why? What am I doing? I mean, this is actually it's a music channel, and so the People versus Hugh Daniil band, played Saturday and all. And I've here for the last week or so been talking about all this weird prison stuff, which I mean it's all true, but it is all in the past. I want to make it clear. This stuff all happened between 15 and 20 years ago, and I'm very grateful that my current life is really nice and it's a whole lot better than all that. I'm very proud to have come from those dark places 15 to 20 years ago. So all these prison stories and all the crime stuff between 15 and 20 years ago. And so I guess maybe the reason to talk about this stuff is enough time has passed where they can just be stories, and they can be things that don't just haunt and influence life, but they just become a part of your own story. Whatever happened in your life, and things that can be really rough and really dark and difficult. Ultimately, they become a part of your story, and that's just what they are. And you don't give them the power to torment you. And I think that's a good place to get to, a good place to to be in when you can just look at it that way. And so it's been wild. Some of these videos I've done have gotten a lot of views, and it's kind of wild. And it goes out and a lot of places that people I know are not aware of the band and all. And I'm really grateful that people are watching the videos, and and there's been a lot of subscribers, quite a few over the last week. And I really appreciate you all subscribing. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, it means a lot. And I'm grateful for everybody who has been subscribing. I haven't been getting have gotten some wild comments about some of this stuff, though, and it is interesting to kind of hear the perception of these things. Some folks have kind of taken me to task and all, and I guess that's okay. But again, these things did all happen in the past, and these are lessons to learn from, for sure. And so it's been an interesting journey over the last week or so. So I really appreciate everybody who has subscribed and has enjoyed this. And I want to keep talking to you if you like hearing me to tell you about some things. And also, I was thinking about a story. I told you about the driving to the casino, in running out of gas and hitchhiking in my Crocs and all that kind of stuff too. And then that's as another vehicle situation. I at a certain point, I'm going to say this is the latter part of 2006, where the high yield investment program was just, it was bringing in a whole lot of money from people. Word of mouth spreads, people get excited, FOMO kicks in, even in this weird small world and ecosystem where those high yield investment programs were going with the e-gold and the e-bullion and the Liberty Reserve and all these ancient currencies that preceded cryptocurrency by about 2 or 3 years. And tons of money was just rolling in. And for a lot of it, it kind of could just sit there in the e-gold or e-bullion accounts. And some of it I pulled into an actual real life bank account. And it was some large numbers that got the attention of the bank managers and stuff. And this is a regional bank, in Southern Illinois at the time. It's long been bought out multiple times since then. I have no idea who wants it anymore, but it doesn't exist. But I pulled in some large amounts of money in it. When you do that kind of thing, and this is prior to 2008, then the housing crisis, when everything just got really locked down in every possible way. But anyway, before then, you could have access to spending a ridiculous amount of money on a credit card, on your bank card, to the tune of like $50,000 or some crazy stuff like that. And some, just other luxuries of how I'm sure everything's on the up and up, and it's fine. I know. So at some point, we're driving a van that was on its last legs, and we needed to replace the van. And so at this point in time, in the band, I had a bunch of money. I thought I should just buy the band a brand new van, and that'll obviously keep us on the road, and all this stuff is going to get worked out in the end. I'm just going to take some of this money and I'm going to buy a van. And I got approval from the bank to make a $50,000 transaction on a credit card. Well, at this dealership, we were trying to buy a Dodge Sprinter van in St. Louis, and this is 2006. The dealership was like, we're not going to take a credit card. The fees on it, are going to be a few $1,000s just in fees that we're not going to get for this vehicle, and the margins aren't that much. So I'm sorry, we're not going to take payment with a credit card, even if it is a bank card tied to a bank account. So should have been an easy problem to solve, obviously, with like, well, okay, we'll come back tomorrow or whatever with a cashier's check or any number of possible ways to fix the problem, just not that afternoon. The thing was, we were leaving for a tour out west the next morning, and we didn't have a van. And I said, we're just gonna do it. And so talked to the guy and decided, well, if I put down a significant but much less than the full price of the van down payment, then we could get some credit terms. And the credit terms would be kind of unfavorable, but just drop a little bit of money down, and then before the next payment comes along, have the cashier's check or have the ability to just pay off the loan, whether it's cashier's check or bank wire or whatever it was. Problem solved. Not even really hardly any money in interest or any kind of stuff like that. So sure, fine, no problem. So we get the van, we go on the tour, we do the thing. And so I'm, instead of, as time goes on, I'm just thinking, well, things are starting to get a little tight. So maybe instead of just paying this thing off right away, maybe I'll just kind of write out the payments here a little bit so I don't just drop a whole big old chunk and pay off the whole van. Obviously, I can do that when things might start looking a little favorable. And so I'll just pay the payments for a little bit. And I did that for a few months. And at some point, it's like I was running kind of low, and the van payments were kind of high. You know, it wasn't a very long-term loan. It was just enough to be able to secure the ability to take the thing that day. And so I said to the band, hey, I'm sorry, I've been covering the payments for a bit, but I need some money to cover the van payments now. I was like, well, of course, you should have, we should be paying that. You should have said it a while ago. Okay, sure, I know. And so paid a couple payments, over the course of a couple months. And then, oh, hey, I need a payment for that van payment again after, a couple, 3 months more. And instead of paying the van payment, because things were gotten really, really tight, I was like, well, I'm just going to ride this out here a little bit, and I'll take care of the payment. But I'm not going to take this money from the band and immediately just pay the van payment. I'm going to take care of some other things and see what I can round up and kind of fix this problem. Because the high yield investment program had pretty well fallen apart at that point. And I didn't wind up paying the van payment that month. And but then the next month came around. And so I was like, oh, hey, Hugh, you need the van payment here? Yeah, sure. Wrote me another check, and I was like, well, I can go ahead and pay that back, one, and try to get things rounded up with that. Or, if I can just kind of apply this to something that's going to make some more money, as long as you take care of it in under 2 months, it'll be okay. And then the next month coming around, and then you start getting after a month or two, you get the phone calls about, hey, you got to make this payment here. You got to make this payment. And oh yeah, got it. Okay. Well, when can you do it? All right. And then eventually you stop taking the phone calls because you know what they're going to say, and what you can't say is that you don't have the money to pay the van payment. And so you stop taking the phone calls, and then you stop taking the phone calls, and a couple of weeks roll by. And then you get a signal that there's going to be a repossession of the van. And so then you wind up wanting to try to figure that out and hope to sort it out. But you might wind up parking the van at another person's house for a bit until you get it figured out. And so when I bought the van, things were going great with the high yield investment madness and all that stuff, as far as, it was all escalating on the way up. And, I was in a relationship for a long time, for 10 years. And I, as time went on with our lives, things started going in some different directions. And for whatever reason, without getting in too much of a tangent in that, with everything going on, relationship ended. And after that amount of time, and it was really quickly though that I wound up hanging out with someone else, and over a short amount of time, when I still had the van. And so she wanted to go to a show, and it was like a second date or something. She was a fan of the music. That's how we met. And so the idea of going along with me to a show up in the big city of St. Louis, that was a kind of a fun date. And she thought, and so like, all right, well, I'll tell you what, you and I will go together. We'll take the van, and the rest of the band, they had been able to purchase another touring van, out of concern of what was going to happen with that van that was in my name. And so I took the van and we went up to St. Louis, and played it. I showed down at a place called Cicero's down on Delmar Avenue and the Delmar Loop. I don't believe it's still open anymore, but it was a fun joint. And so we went up there. We were going to go eat some food down there because there was a lot of cool restaurants there. And so I get out and if we were going to go eat some food, I've got my guitar, for the show, and wound up leaving my cell phone in the van. And, it was the days slightly before smartphones. At least I didn't have a smartphone, just a flip phone, and left it all there. So we went and we were going to go do a little shopping and stuff, and before we went and ate food, and it's like, oh, damn it, I left my cell phone in the van. I'm going to walk back and go grab it real quick. And went back there, and there was 3 big guys and some small vehicle parked behind the van in the parking lot, blocking it in. So with 3 guys standing outside in a vehicle that was blocking the van in, physically in the parking lot there. And I thought this was not a coincidence, but I didn't go over to the van. I knew one of 2 things. Hopefully they were there to repossess the van because I hadn't made any payments in over 2 months. And they've been able to, trace my name to the band to know that we were playing that show, and there was a chance that the van could be there. And it just so happened we bought it in St. Louis, and show was in St. Louis. So it was a pretty good guess, and they guessed right. And so, or they were there because the high yield investment program had fallen apart, and people were upset, and it was gonna not end in me being able to play that show that night, one way or the other. And so both of those things were bad, but one was certainly worse than the other. So I see this happening. They don't see me, and I retreat back around the block and find my girlfriend, or she did become a girlfriend. We were together for a couple years, but at the time we were just kind of just started seeing each other. And so I said, hey, we have a problem. It's, there's a lot of awkward date stories and things. I don't know how common this one is, but I said, there's some scary looking people around the van, and they have it blocked in. And I can't go over there and get my cell phone. Also, my guitar is in there that I need for the show tonight. So we have an issue. And so she said, well, what do you want to do? I was about to say, well, she said, maybe I should go talk to him by myself and you stay here. But I don't think she said that. I don't think that came to her mind as a thing that she should decide to do. In fact, I think what probably most likely happened was that I said, I have an idea. How about you go talk to him by yourself, and I'll hang back here hiding, and you tell them that, or you ask what's going on, and see if they tell you if they're there to possess the van or if they're all shady and strange. And so she said, okay. And so she went over there and did that, and then I watched behind the corner, peering behind there. I want to say it's not courageous behavior. This is cowardly behavior, and it does not show bravery, despite the fact it might actually be the smartest thing to do. But it is not courageous. It is very emasculating and not a good look for a second date. So anyway, she started walking back and came back around the corner, and she said that they are there to repossess the van. And that's what they want to do. They want to have the keys. And so I said, okay, well, I need to get my cell phone and my guitar out of there. And I do have the keys. So how about you wait for a few minutes, and because there's no telling how long they've been waiting there, and then you go and tell them that you've called me, and I gave you permission with your spare key to give that up to them, and as long as you could get my guitar and a couple of things out of there. And she said, okay, I'll go do that. And so she went back over, and I peered around the corner and saw the talking and the opening of doors and the getting of guitar out, and my cell phone, I assumed it was, and then them climbing into the van and starting it up, moving the other car that was blocking it out of the way, and them driving off, and her carrying my guitar across this parking lot while I still hid behind the corner. And that was not the way that I was hoping our second date would go. We were, 2 hours away from home at that point, but the rest of the band was, going to be there in the new van. And it wasn't the sexiest date that anybody was hoping for. It was not the good way for it to go. But, we got home. They scooched over and crammed into 6 or 7, however many of us, cramming into the new van to get back home and all. I don't know if anybody's ever had a vehicle repossessed on a date. It's a different sort of a feeling. So anyway, I hope this was entertaining enough, and I hope to put off an impression of the self-deprecating kind of, wow, I sure did some dumb and embarrassing things, and they're just stories. I am doing okay now, so I appreciate all the comments that have come in and the people enjoying this sort of stuff, and make good decisions, everybody. Don't be a knucklehead, and do good things. All right, I appreciate you listening, and thank you for subscribing. So many folks have been subscribing lately. I want to talk about more things, more music and more stuff, and who knows, maybe I will babble into some other whatever. But I appreciate you listening, and stay tuned for more things. All right, take care.